In December 1967, an anonymous package arrived at a Norwegian socialist newspaper. Inside, wrapped like a Christmas present, was a hyper-classified U.S. military strategy known as O-Plan 10-1. It outlined America's strategy for fighting a guerrilla war across Europe in the event of a Soviet invasion. This document shows the target list for an all-out war. U.S. planners identified hundreds of West German cities, like Kiel and Lübeck, to be destroyed to slow a Soviet advance. The plan included specific nuclear yield requirements, intending to detonate atomic weapons on Allied soil. The leak triggered an immediate crisis in Washington. The State Department sent urgent, secret cables to every NATO capital, ordering diplomats to neither confirm nor deny the authenticity of the documents. KGB specialists in Moscow saw a massive opportunity in the fallout. They realized that laundering sensitive information through the Western Free Press created more reputational damage than any direct military confrontation. By using a Norwegian newspaper as a middleman, Soviet intelligence turned this routine leak into a weapon that the U.S. had no protocol against. Soviet active measures relied on a specific kind of alchemy. The KGB would take genuine, often outdated military documents stolen by spies and slip in a single, devastating forgery. For O-Plan 10-1, the KGB carefully typed up an extra page. It claimed that the authority to deploy nuclear weapons with a yield of 10 kilotons or less was delegated down to low-level American field commanders, bypassing the president entirely. Soviet intelligence used Heinz Felfe, a former SS officer turned spy, to make the leak feel personal. Felfe drafted a fake cover letter linking the plan to the real-life suicide of a depressed West German general, implying the general took his life because he could no longer keep these horrifying nuclear secrets. This package was mailed to publications across Europe. For magazines competing for newsstand sales, an anonymous leak promising a dark military conspiracy was too valuable to fact-check. In July 1969, the Italian magazine ABC ran the forged plans on its cover. They placed the headline, "Here are NATO's secret plans," right next to a photograph of a topless model, warning readers that an American officer could wipe out Milan or Rome on a whim. Laundering state propaganda through commercial independent media granted these fabrications an illusion of objective truth. By the 1970s, the KGB scaled their operations by forging an entirely fake U.S. Army counterinsurgency manual, known as Field Manual 30-31B. Written in flawless bureaucratic English, the forgery falsely claimed that U.S. intelligence orchestrated false flag terrorism in allied nations. The goal was to manufacture a sense of danger that would justify violent crackdowns on domestic left-wing groups. This narrative gained traction during the 1978 crisis in Italy. A radical group called the Red Brigades kidnapped Aldo Moro, the head of the country's Conservative Party, throwing the nation into chaos. Soviet media used the forged manual's logic to publicly blame the CIA for the abduction. When Moro was eventually assassinated, thousands took to the streets of Rome, fueled by the suspicion that their own allies were the real culprits. The KGB bypassed traditional media entirely by feeding the fake manual directly to radical anti-CIA activists. These activists published the full English text in their own journals, believing they were blowing the whistle on secret American atrocities. By exploiting the pre-existing confirmation bias of domestic radicals, Soviet intelligence removed the need to persuade anyone directly. In the late 1970s, the geopolitical stakes rose as NATO decided to deploy advanced Pershing II nuclear missiles to West Germany and Britain. This decision triggered the Mars campaign, a coordinated Soviet operation to covertly infiltrate and steer the massive Western peace movement. The resulting protests were immense and organic. Hundreds of thousands of citizens, motivated by a sincere fear of nuclear war, filled the streets of European cities to demand disarmament. To direct this energy, the Stasi and KGB helped create Generals for Peace. This was a group of retired NATO commanders who were secretly funded and guided by Eastern Bloc intelligence. These generals used their military credentials to publicly advocate against Western nuclear modernization. They focused exclusively on the American threat while completely ignoring the Soviet Union's own missile deployments. By co-opting elite, highly trusted figures to lead grassroots movements, the operation allowed the Soviet hand to remain entirely invisible. Western governments faced a structural dilemma. Because the disinformation was driven by quiet funding and subtle influence, rather than direct control, they had no way to combat the network without appearing to attack their own citizens. In 1982, President Ronald Reagan attempted to break the campaign's momentum. He explicitly accused the American peace movement of being manipulated by foreign powers who wanted to weaken the United States. The strategy failed because the KGB's hands-off methodology left no public smoking gun. Without declassifiable evidence, Reagan's accusation looked less like national security and more like a desperate attempt to silence political opponents. The lack of public evidence led to a massive backlash. Critics across the country denounced the president's warning as a McCarthy-style smear intended to silence millions of legitimate domestic activists. Active measures succeed by exploiting the internal friction of a target society. By providing the exact evidence a free people needs to lose trust in their own institutions, a foreign adversary can force a nation to tear itself apart.